What's up guys, we're back today with some Destiny 2 news and updates from Bungie. And in today's video, Bungie update this week's Nightfall weapon to the one which players have most anticipated this season. So we'll cover that, plus they provide a couple of additional updates regarding missing rewards, secret chests and more. And then they tease the ending of the final Shape campaign, culminating in completion of the upcoming raid. They talk about other new story updates, and then the community hit the enraged timer once again, this time over ludicrously expensive Eververse reissued items. So we have all of that and more in today's video. Be sure to get subscribed if you'd like to see more, and without further delay, let's get into it. And so the first thing to mention today, and the community's disappointment was palpable yesterday at the reset when we got the Swarm for the weekly Nightfall weapon. Safe to say my comment section was filled with disappointment, but we're in luck as the Destiny 2 team gave us an update, and they say this week's Nightfall is getting shaken up a bit, and Warden's Law is moving up to this week for 2 times rewards. So Warden's Law is now the featured Nightfall weapon for the week. Of course, we have a new Nightfall with the Europa Battleground, and the Grandmaster version of that is available. But 2 times rewards and Warden's Law, of course, is a positive, so if you want that weapon, get out there and start farming. They also say for the next few weeks of GM planning. In week 5, we'll get the Swarm, and then week 6 will be the Pre-Astanex, the new bow for the Nightfalls. So good to get an update on that one right there, and let us know down below if you've managed to pick up a good Warden's Law. Up next though, it's worth pointing out that Bungie have asked for feedback from PvP players about the kinds of changes to Crucible that they'd like to see in the future. So they posted this on Twitter, and they said whether it's playlist preferences, matchmaking settings, trials, or competitive, be sure to post some feedback. So if you do want to give some constructive feedback about the Crucible and what you'd like to see in future, I'll link that thread down below in the description box. Next up though, there has been a bit of conversation about the new ritual armor sets that Bungie released into the game last Thursday, and they point out that they are now earnable through Strikes, Crucible, and Gambit, but there's been a lot of conversation about the drop rates for them, as it can take a while to actually get any of the pieces dropped. So I'd be curious to get your experiences with that in the comment section below. Have you managed to pick any up yet? Have you picked up full sets? Or does the grind continue? I guess one of the issues with those ritual playlists is that they do have reasonably significant potential loopholes, so they're probably somewhat diluted. We'll have to see if Bungie offer any updates on that, but share your experiences down below. Also another conversation from last week, but Bungie confirmed that Essence of the Oversoul drops are account-based, and they will only drop once per week as a guaranteed drop. And of course they are the items required to progress on the Necrochasm quest, as well as for the catalyst on the weapon. We haven't had any extra updates from Bungie on that front yet, so whether they might potentially make any changes to it, or whether it's simply viewed as a long-term, guaranteed drop source for Necrochasm, we'll have to see how it pans out, but once again, give us your experiences with that down in the comment section. We did however get another update about Krodazen though, and players were wondering if there is a 3rd secret chest inside of the raid, as of course the Triumphs reference 3 different chests that can be picked up, and after finding all 3 of them, we get access to the warped Rakis shader, and that's the new raid shader right there. But at the moment, only 2 chest locations are actually known, so players had been on a bit of a hunt to see if there was kind of a secret trigger or something like that for the last chest, but Bungie did actually give an update a few days ago, and they said they're currently investigating an issue with the Spoils of Conquest Triumph for Crota's End that prevents it from being completed. This issue will be resolved in an upcoming update, so the important thing is that yes, it will be fixed and Bungie know about it, but it's interesting because it doesn't tip us off as to whether this is a hidden chest inside of the raid that hasn't yet been found and obviously is bugged so isn't appearing, or whether the final chest from the raid is the one that's referenced in that Triumph. I would assume it's an additional hidden chest that isn't showing up simply because of the wording on the Triumph, but once again, it's something that will be fixed in an upcoming patch, so I'll keep you posted when we get more information about that. Final quick thing on the subject of raids, but at the moment, Nezarec inside of the Root of Nightmares can actually be farmed for Spoils of Conquest, so some players are consistently farming that boss to get an additional 5 spoils per clear. As far as we know, this isn't intended, and typically only the brand new raids are farmable. We did previously see a similar thing with Kingsfall, where it wasn't intentional, so if you do want to farm Nezarec for spoils, it is something that you can go ahead and do at the moment, although you can also do it in encounters like the Ear encounter at Crota's End, which may even be slightly easier, and of course also has the chance to drop Essence of Oversoul. But if you fancy a bit of Nezarec action, it is at least an option to pick up some spoils right there. Moving on right here though, Bungie give us an update regarding the Final Shape campaign, and they play a section from the reveal for the Final Shape, discussing the new destination and how the raid will unlock the final sort of section of the campaign. And that isn't only going to rely on raid players, but will require the input of the entire community. So check out the clip right here.
We're focusing you on the campaign and only the campaign. It's the most important thing in the universe at that moment. You have to stop the Final Shape from happening.
And for that, we do need the help with our allies. And so we're going to make sure that the core Vanguard team gets back together. Zavala and Ikora and Cade.
The campaign is just the start of the Pale Heart. After you've reached the monolith and finished the campaign, we open up the entire destination. And so the entire Pale Heart is going to react to you and what you are doing.
The campaign in the Final Shape doesn't really end with the final mission. The raids are where you defeat like the big bosses. So it's only natural that when you are going to confront the witness, you're going to do that in the raid. But that might not be enough. This is a moment where we need to rally all Guardians to be able to overcome the Final Shape and the witness.
Pretty cool stuff there, and I'm certainly looking forward to seeing how Bungie wrap up that story post-campaign. As we have seen in the past, it looks like the completion of the raid will potentially unlock some new content that all players can get involved with, so that should be pretty exciting, and give us your thoughts down below. Very final thing right here, but the Destiny 2 team said a friendly Guardian reminder that if you missed out on certain items in Season of the Worthy, you can snag those from Eververse in weeks 4 to 6, and that started with the weekly reset. But according to Destiny Bulletin right here, the items available in the store this week from Season of the Worthy were originally part of the Season Pass for that season, and of course Season Passes were $10 at that point in time. But according to their post, the current pricing for all of those items is $89 in total, and there's been some community backlash about this, which certainly isn't surprising. I'm not sure why it's necessary to charge such a significant amount of cash for cosmetic items that are returning from an old Season Pass primarily. I think most players expected these items to come back for silver. That isn't really a surprise, but the pricing here is the primary issue, and I would tend to agree with most in the community that that is just ludicrously expensive for the kind of items we're getting in that pack. I don't know, perhaps Bungie need to recoup some of the cash they've maybe lost with the armor set being a ritual reward this season instead of being an Eververse set. I don't really even know what to say on this one. Of course, no one is obliged to buy these items, but the pricing there just seems kind of bonkers, so give us your thoughts about it down in the comments section. The final thing I wanted to mention in today's video though, and Bungie pointed out some of the ways that new players can catch up with Destiny 2, or indeed that any players can kind of re-experience key story moments from the timeline. And Bungie posted, in addition to the upcoming additions of both the Fireteam Finder and adjustments to the power system, which of course we'll see in the Final Shape, they also share some insights about timeline reflections, which is a new thing this season. So for players who may be wondering who is Cade 6 that everyone's talking about from the Final Shape teaser, this is the reason they've introduced the timeline reflections missions. And the same players who haven't logged in for a while start in front of Ikora, where she tells them that in order to confront the future and take on the witness, they must first understand the past. So on the timeline, on the director, there are 3 quick missions. The first is called Cade's Fate, and it's an abbreviated version of the Forsaken Prison Break mission, and that gives context around both Cade and Crow's story arcs. But the second timeline reflection shows how Guardians learn to wield the darkness against enemies, and gives a taste of the Stasis subclass, with the third mission getting players up to speed on how and why the Lucent Hive are able to use the light against us. And they say each timeline reflection mission starts with a brief intro cinematic to set it up, then contains approximately 10 minutes of gameplay and ends with an outro cinematic to reinforce the importance of that narrative beat. And they also highlight that after completing that mission for the first time, players will earn a legendary weapon, and completing all of the missions should take less than an hour and rewards the Monte Carlo exotic auto rifle. But on top of that, they've added 2 standalone cinematics to help spell out the core setting of Destiny. The first one is Destiny Calls, a motion graphic that was released on the website last summer, and the second is from Season of the Deep and provides the backstory on the greatest enemy, the Witness. And they point out all of these quests are available for everyone who wants a concise refresher on the story so far. And so if you're interested in checking that out, obviously it's great for new players, but also it may be something that existing players want to check out as well. So be sure to visit Ikora and then head to the timeline on the destination tab as well. Plus in their article, they talk about how players can complete the Guardian Rises new light missions and the subclass mastery quests that Ikora offers as well. So I just thought it was worth highlighting those briefly at the end of the video. But for today, guys, that's what we have to speak about. So as always, I hope you've enjoyed this one and found it useful. If you have, a rating below really does help us out on the channel. Plus, be sure to get subscribed and I'll keep you posted with more Destiny content. Otherwise though, I appreciate you tuning in today, and whatever you get up to, I will catch you all very soon.